You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darrow O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Alright everybody, it is Tuesday here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. This is the Wrestling Rewind, the only show by wrestling fans who don't hate wrestling. Podcast 78. My name is Darrow O'Connor, but I'm not alone. I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Martin Herty. How are things, Martin?
How's she gotten?
Very good, man. Very good. Tired, busy, but hey, we have a different show this week because we're not in the time machine this week. Well, we are by like a day, but it's a more modern trip to the past rather than 20 years ago, because we are going to talk about the propaganda event, Crown Jewel.
It's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be a fun one. Now, I have to say, for a propaganda event, it was a very good show, I must say. This is like the WrestleMania. This is basically like bigger than SummerSlam for a lot of ways. And it's a little bit bigger than WrestleMania. It was a better booked card. But yeah, man, like, when you forget the circumstances around what this event is, it's a lot easier to enjoy. But then when they beat you over the head with it again, you're like, oh man, stop. I'm pretty sure the history books are going to look back at this going, this was in bad taste, you know?
Yeah, well, Vince isn't thinking about the history books. Vince is thinking about, what is it, 50 million a show they get?
I don't look, as I said, it's so much money, and apparently all the planes, there's like 4 private planes, and they pick them up and that. So it's like they're making serious bank, but at the same time, it's like every time these shows happen, you just see people in moral disgust just leaving the product in droves. And again, you can't hold back anyone on the show because they're getting paid like serious money. I know WWE are very propagandistic with certain things, you know, where they do the tribute to the troops and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, you know what you're getting, but it's like that kind of makes sense, I guess, to an extent. But this is solely just shilling for money, like, I mean, soullessly shilling. Like,
I'm kind of in two minds about it myself, because on the one hand, yeah, I mean, that's all true and that leaves a certain aftertaste, but on the other hand, you know, like, they do shows in Britain, and Britain has a long history of murdering journalists and human rights lawyers.
Yeah. Oh,
They're obviously based in the US, and nobody's going to claim that the US has the greatest, you know, human rights track record in the world. I mean, none of that makes it okay, but if you're going to sort of judge things on a level playing field, yeah, maybe it's just because what we're used to. We're so used to seeing shows, you know, around the world.
I guess it's not even like what you said is all true, and that is a fair point. And to be honest with you, when you think about it that way as well, it does put a new spin on it. But it's like, it's more the outright propaganda element of it. You know, that's the problem. It's not so much where it is, because that, you know, do a show anywhere. That's just the way it is. Like, as a performer or whatever, you're going to kind of play wherever you're going to play. You're going to perform wherever you're going to perform, and that's it. And also performing in front of a new market as such, it is what it is. But it's very similar to the way you see Marvel or Disney in general bend to the Chinese communist regime.
Yes.
Or whatever, you know, or they will like for example, in Star Wars they had the first gay kiss, but they cut that out. In the Middle East, they cut it out in China, and you're like, what? Okay, right, fair, but why include it if you're going to bend to certain things? It's just it's talking out both sides of your mouth, you know, where it's like, okay, you're doing it, cool, but why aren't you why are you bending for these markets? It is what it is. But it's amplified because instead of it just being one part they're removing, it's fundamentally changing the show around to have elements, or then just include segments where you're like, Michael Cole saying, and we're in this great place. It's the biggest place in the world. Look how awesome it is. And you're like, Michael Cole, like, please stop. You're losing all credibility.
Although to be fair, once we get into the notes of the matches, there's a couple of points where I said, Michael Cole, please stop.
Yeah. It was a Michael Cole, please stop night, and we're not going to beat this over the head. I think Solomon Monster calls a sweet Saudi money 6, and that's kind of what it was.
It reminded me what you were saying there a wee bit of. There was an old schlocky B film from the 80s called Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was with the Chinese invading the US, and this plucky group of high school kids like launch a guerrilla war to defend their town. A guerrilla war that the US, if it was happening anywhere else, would call terrorism, but never mind. But anyway, they remade that in, I think,
they did
2010, something like that.
Yeah, it was in around that, yeah.
So they remade it, and same film, same premise and everything. And then they realized, oh my God, the Chinese market is one of the biggest film markets in the world.
Yeah.
So they went through the film they made and they digitally altered every single flag to turn it from a Chinese flag into a North Korean flag. Every single one.
Yeah. At least with that's a risk, and you're like, okay, it's a bit of a risk. At least with WWE doing their pandering, you have to give the devil his due in here. They already have the money. They're already like, all right, we might as well deliver. When Disney and stuff do it, it's like they can just get banned outright. So, it's funny that the Saudi regime is actually a bit more like relaxed than the Chinese communist regime, which just has no chill at all, So it's like, all right, lads, it's a mad world that we live in, man. It really is bizarre. And when I'm watching the show, because like none of the time you're sitting there watching, you're like, it's grand or whatever, and then like something weird happens, and you're like, geez, that's weird. It takes you out of it,
It is, and then, God, I'm not really in two minds. I'm in about 10 minds about this, because I was watching it though, and man, this crowd was hot. They were really into it, and they were just so happy to see these wrestlers or these superstars there. And I mean, man, like, you can't take that away from them. Like,
no,
it's not their fault. It's a horrible regime. Like,
and that's what I was saying to you. Like, here's the thing. It is what it is.
When you saw like wee girls in the audience and they saw women in the ring wrestling, like this is a huge thing for them. Yeah, and again, I'm sitting there going, oh, on the one hand, this is terrible. They should just go, no, these are our principles, and if you don't like our show, we're not taking it there. And on the other hand, you're going, oh, look how like inspired and happy these wee girls are to see women wrestling on a huge stage.
That's a fair point too. And we do have to say as well, they have actually come from having one women match where a bottle was thrown at them to having the Queen's crown, which the fact that they had a woman being crowned there was like pretty big. So like, as I said, like, people listening to this show, we're trying to be fair. We're trying to be as fair and balanced on this as we can be.
That Rhea season, or Rhea, what was the city called? Rhea, is it?
Riyadh.
That Riyadh season party that they showed,
looked
that
amazing.
thing looked lit. Yeah, I'd love to go to
that. No, I have to say, like, and Saudi Arabia does look pretty cool, as far as like a location, but it's just like, lads, you gotta calm down a bit, you gotta just chill out. And to be fair, if your man is saying what he's saying, then fair, like if he does it. But I did find out that Riyadh means the garden, which is a cool name. That's pretty awesome. It's a lot better than some Dublin names which don't make any sense.
Dublin for a start.
I know it's
supposed to be. Dublin translates as Blackpool, doesn't it?
Dublin, from the Viking. Here's the thing: that where that Blackpool actually is, it's still there. It's not the Liffey. It's up by it's a little garden, and you can go see it, and it's like that's the Blackpool of Dublin.
Oh,
yeah. So it's an actual thing.
Do the locals have like a name for it, like they do with the Hooer and the Sewer? And
oh well, no, it's called the Dublin. That's what it is. It's the Blackpool. It already has a name. No, what's it? The floozy into jacuzzi and Olivia. She's up by Houston Station now. That's what she is. But yeah, that's lost on our American and UK listeners completely. But come to Dublin, it's great where you can see all these wonderful things.
You can see the Molly Malone statue or the tart with the cart.
Oh man. Oh, what's it? The spires, the stiffy and the liffy.
Well, I tell you what, Belfast isn't to be left out of this because
No, Belfast is wonderful too.
when you come up to just outside West Belfast on the West Link, there's this big, huge public artwork. I think it's officially the name is something like New Dawn or Dawn Rising or some waffle like that. But it's basically two huge balls, one ball inside the other ball. And it's on the West Link in the West, so people call it the Westicle, or
man, that's wonderful.
or the Westies.
Oh no!
Or because it's right beside the Falls Road, they call it the Balls and the Falls.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. It's so funny, like, because like there's so much similarities. Like what I like about Belfast is that like going to a different country, but not really, because it has so much similarities to like Dublin. But then it has like it's also like Manchester, so it has like those two weird things just kind of crossing together. So you're like, it's weird, and then there's just Irish stuff happens and English stuff happens at the same time. You're like, it's weird.
I find it a lot like Cork. I lived in Cork for
very like Cork.
Years.
Yeah, it's very like it's as I said, it's like it's like a major Irish city had an affair with like Manchester. Because it's really well planned out, and it's like this city makes it's lovely, and I like going to Belfast a great deal. But you can actually find your way around things. You go to Dublin, you're like, I don't know where anything is. I know it's over there somewhere.
At least you can always in Dublin. You can always just look for the spire.
That's true. Actually, that's not a bad shout to if you get lost. You're like, I can just there it is. I must be close to something. But anyway, Riyadh means the garden. Garden. Oh. It is very nice. And to be fair, it did look pretty cool. And look, I also like the timing of it. I was in work and I was talking to one of my bosses, and I'm like, yeah, look, I have a Crown Jewel on here in the corner, so just I'm a bit distracted, that's why. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed the time of this. It was cool. Like it was about 5:00 Irish time. It was on. It was finished about 9. So that was lovely. That's like
handy.
Yeah, that's what. And for US listeners specifically, you have no idea how rare that is. For us, you have no idea how rare that is that you can actually just watch wrestling at a normal time, like not one that's like weird and obscure. It's like just a normal time. You're not up to like antisocial hours or anything like that. So
if you want to watch Rampage in Ireland, it doesn't even start till 3 a.m.
Yeah, so like that's it, man. It's like as a wrestling fan, it worked out quite well for me, the job that I do, because everyone's on San Francisco time, so that's just my body clock. But I had to like every wrestling fan's natural clock is Eastern time because of wrestling. That is our natural time, and it's really weird. I can't explain it to anybody. It's just like, listen, I've been a wrestling fan my whole life. It makes more sense to run on US Eastern time. So it was nice to actually have that as not a factor, All right, Martin. So let's actually get into this. So again, overall thoughts. I thought it was a pretty good show. Like it's actually, to be frank, it was probably the best show that WWE have done all year. Right? It made like the finishes were all predictable. Like I don't do WWE like power rankings or bookings anymore because there's no point. But like if you were calling this, you pretty much were able to predict what was going on. I was happy with most of it. Some of it I wasn't. I'm gonna say this now. I don't like the New Day. I like them as heels. I thought they were amazing as heels. But in their current incarnation, I'm like, I really just cannot stand it. And that's why I'm watching the Netflix, because we're going to do the Netflix thing next week. And I'm watching it and I hate the New Day. I just can't stand them. I
think you're going to have to get used to it. Vince is making too much money off Bootio's cereal.
Yeah. No, and look, I have, and it's no shade to the lads, I just they're so much better as heels, but it is what it is. They're making bank, and obviously they're very successful at it. But Xavier Woods actually had a class match with Finn Balor. I was like, this is actually really good. So I was happy enough with that. I want the Finn to win, obviously, because he's, the hometown, the hometown
home
lad.
team.
But exactly, yeah. But like when Xavier won, I'm like, well, look, fair play, Xavier. I don't buy Big E as champion, but he had a great match with Drew. We'll talk about that in a second. And yeah, man, like overall, it was a solid B+ show.
Overall, okay. So there's a couple of things we need to get out of the way. I think yes, we've done the whole issue around the it being in Saudi Arabia and all that. I think that's important to get out of the way first, because it'll just drag through if we keep bringing it up every time.
Yeah.
There's another thing I need to get out of the way first.
Go on.
And it's because I respect what you and Dave have built with the podcast, and it being, the only podcast by wrestling fans who still like wrestling.
Yeah.
So I went into this absolutely determined, with a positive mindset. So rather than bring it up every time, I think there's some things I need to get out of the way.
Okay, let's do it.
That are just going to apply to the show as a whole. Yeah.
Right. Go for it.
Firstly,
Go for it, Mark. Sorry, not Dave.
I can't stand.
You're not Dave.
I can't stand the WWE presentation. It's too slick. It's too shiny. It's too polished. It's too plastic. It doesn't look like a wrestling show. It looks like a cartoon or a computer game or something.
Well, that's why that's why their games look up until last year looked pretty good.
That's how they make their games look realistic. They just make reality look like the game.
Exactly. That's what they do.
The camera work, normally WWE camera work gives me seasickness. It actually wasn't too bad.
No, it's fine, yeah.
It was genuinely all right tonight. I can't have this, and I 4 matches in, I had made the same note every time, so I thought I'm just going to bring it up at the start and apply it to all the matches through the night. Right. It is bad enough that WWE scripts their goddamn promos.
Yeah.
Would they stop scripting the matches? I can't have this monologuing that goes on through, where they're shouting different things at them or saying stuff really loud so the camera hears it, and that's like a plot point. And every match, I can't be having that.
I understand why they do it. Like, it makes sense why they do it. It's so the commentators can go, and they're saying this, and obviously this means a lot to whoever's in the ring, but blah, blah, blah. It's very annoying.
It's very lazy. It's like the first thing they teach you about filmmaking is show, don't tell, and this is all tell.
Yeah.
It's all.
And it's because they only have 8 to 10 minutes to go out there, or in some cases 5 minutes to go out and go, right, you go and tell a story, and it's
come on. Me and you watched Rick Steiner and Van Hammer tell a story in 180 seconds.
Why did you bring up Van Hammer? I'm so sad he's not on the show.
And the other thing is, and this is the last of my issues, is you just brought it up there, the commentary. Yeah, it is still, and I haven't watched a WWE show since SummerSlam, and it's still dreadful. I just cannot. I can't ignore it. I can't block it out. It's so bad.
You know what makes it worse? We get spoiled by listening to Tony Schiavone and Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mike Tenay just have the crack and tell wonderful stories, and then you flip over and it's like, and we went out for drinks there and we didn't invite Byron. You're like, what are you doing?
What got me was
what are you doing?
What got me was the very first match. Like, the two guys hadn't even come into the ring yet. It was the Hell in a Cell match. The Cell comes down, and Michael Cole, the Cell comes down. There's all the ominous music and the bell, and Michael Cole says, once you're locked in there, it's designed to not let you out. And I'm like, just put the microphone down. Somebody get rid of this prick.
To be fair, it's not his fault. It's Vince McMahon screaming it in his ear.
I think he forgot something, because he said, once you're locked in there, and then there was like this huge pause, and he was like trying to think of something cool to say next. So it's designed to not let you out. Oh, so like every lock,
like every cage or cell or
every door. Like,
again, when it sucks when I hear sorry, hold on, the Irish backstage reviewer. I need to get to him in a bit. I have comments. But with Michael Cole, I feel sorry for him, because I'm like, I always thought he was terrible, and then I heard him actually just call a show with Danny O'Brien a couple of years ago, and it was brilliant. And it's like, there you go. I think it was the Cruiserweight Classic he called, and that was unreal. And I'm like, where is this guy? Like for the past 20 years,
Maybe
like, where were you? You know?
Maybe he's good. It's like that bit in The Simpsons where they go to your man who runs the factory that sells crackers, and he goes, "Crackers are a family food. Maybe single people eat crackers. We don't know. We don't want to know. Maybe Michael Cole is a good commentator. I don't know, and at this stage, I don't want to know. I just never want to hear him ever again."
No, that's fair. That's fair. He's just too damaged at this point to have any kind of redeeming quality. Like, it's just, you know, I'm sure, look, he made a great career out of it and all that kind of stuff. Now, the best one where he was talking about, it was the Goldberg match, and he's like, you can't imagine what it's like when someone goes and attacks you, puts finger on your child as a father. I'm like, Michael Cole, I'm sorry, you can't pull off that line. You're just, no. Just no. Like, no one buys this. Like, no one buys this. Oh, God, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Sorry, go on.
I just needed to get all that out at the start.
That's fair.
Like the Saudi thing, so that I'm not bringing it up in every single match.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
We have all that out at the start, and now going forward, I'm going to be as positive as I can.
And look, I think that's fair too. I think it's always good to call out this stuff, so it isn't negative, you know. But yeah, look, all the WWE problems existed, with the exception of booking. If your man the Prince was booking this, and he probably was, give him the book. He did a great job because it all made sense. And I'm like, listen, if he's going to be booking the show, if the shows are going to be like this, give him the book, because whoever normally books these shows obviously wasn't doing it today, because it was brill. I do have to. My dog agrees. So what was I saying? I have to call out the Irish fella. Oh man,
Kevin Patrick, isn't it?
I don't know what his name is. He just shows up, and it was I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I'm like, he just looks like he's kind of lost the whole time, and he's just like, oh hey, and then your man just shows up. Who was he interviewing? Was it Rollins? I think it was Rollins. And he was like, oh, you know, let me explain something before you lose your job, which I hope it's soon. And I'm just like, oh, all this is bad, you know. And it's like you know, when you see like the big Irish head on someone,
yeah,
and you just see it on your man, and then he starts talking, you're like, oh Jesus, you know, what are you doing? Like, it's like secondhand embarrassment for him, and it's just like, man, you don't know, just no, you know. So the whole time he shows up, I'm like, I'm sure he's a nice guy and he's living his dream, and you know, I'm happy for him as that, but I'm also like, you see the big Irish head on him, and you're like, ah man, now come on, you know. It's like, I think that's partly just our old begrudgery, you know. Maybe
we're looking at him going, he has notions.
See, that's it. This is the thing. US folks and UK folks, you might understand this. Irish people have this thing where when you see an Irish person succeed, it's like he has notions, and instinctively you want to tear that down because you're, you know, it's Irish. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's that begrudgery, but I honestly don't mean it to be begrudgery, but it is kind of to look at him with notions. So maybe that could be it.
But like maybe people who are from Texas hear someone from Texas on television and they go, oh God, you know, maybe the accent to them sounds off. But
it's weird. I don't get it with Sheamus, and I don't get it with Becky. Like, even though they don't sound like they're from Ireland anymore, really, because they speak with that weird accent that they have. With McGregor, absolutely. They're
deliberately told to like speak slowly and clearly so that everyone understands. Yeah.
You know, it's not as bad as McGregor, who actively like hate. But no, it's just, I don't know. It's just your man. I'm like, we'll see what happens. The sad thing about that is, like, he's a backstage interviewer, and he always get like abused by the talent. So I don't know how he's ever going to get over. But I don't know. It is what it is. But maybe it is just notions. But still, fair play to Irish man. At least he's At least he's out there doing it, you know.
We got a wee cabal going on there. I'd say Fit Finlay started that. You know, you got Finlay, and you got Kevin Patrick, Sheamus, Becky,
Finn.
They had Killian Dane at one stage, and I think he's gone now.
Yeah. It's weird though. You never really hear Finn Balor talk, like, usually. You know, when he does, it's like, Yeah.
Does his big smile.
His big. No, you know who's the worst talker ever? And another thing, I have to go back. I have to go back to this match again, right? Bobby Lashley. This whole time, when the video package was gas because I just can't take him seriously. And he's just like, "Hey, yeah, I'm gonna beat you up really bad," and you're like, "Now, I know you could beat me up, Bobby. Like, you actually like legit tough guy, but you sound like Michael Jackson, and I just don't buy it." I'm like, I just don't. And he's like, "What's it? What does he call himself? What's the stupid name he has?
The Almighty, is it?
Oh yeah, I'm the Almighty. I want to beat you up so bad." And you're like, "I'm sure you are, but." No,
I'm sure you are, but until that first punch lands, I'm going to keep laughing.
I'm going to keep laughing the whole time, and then I won't be. But this, you know, they had him with MVP for a reason, right? Where's MVP?
Why did that end? Yeah, that was.
Like, MVP is a great talker. Just he needs someone to talk for him because, oh my God, he cannot do it. And again, every time I see Bobby Lashley, I'm just thinking, well, he just wants to play golf because that's all he talks about. That's all he thinks about. That's all he talks about whenever you actually talk to him. He loves golf. You know this story, right?
God, I don't see. That's so bizarre. I don't see Bobby Lashley out on a golf course.
Oh my God! Okay,
a wee white pair of trousers. And...
So, ladies and gentlemen, long-term listeners of the show probably know, but Martin doesn't. So I'm going to share the story. So when I was doing stuff for TNA, I was interviewing loads of talent. And Bobby Lashley was one of them. He was the TNA champion at the time. He was defending the belt that night. And during my interview, I was like, "So, Bobby, who are you facing tonight, and what do you think about the match?" And he goes, "I don't really know. I'm more thinking about going to play some golf later. I really like playing golf." And I'm like, "Cool, but can you talk about what it's like being TNA champion?" He's like, "No, I just like playing golf. You know, it gives me opportunity to play my golf game." And I swear to God, like, this was the interview. And ever since then, I'm like, Mr. Golf. And it was so disappointing.
I wonder if he likes Ireland. We have some of the of the top golf courses in the world.
I'm telling you, he could just have golf all he wants. Maybe Saudi Arabia has great golf courses. They probably do. That's why he's there.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm telling you, but man, he loves himself some golf. I swear to God, that is not a joke. And that's how he delivered it. I will try to find the audio somewhere. If anyone has the audio of the International Death shows, please give them to me because I actually lost them all when my hard drive corrupted. So, joys. Anyway, so that's the interview, or the negative, let's say. To be fair, it was more just WWE production side of things. It wasn't anything super bad.
No. This entire show, nothing was dreadful. To be honest, I suggested this because, like every other Saudi show, I was expecting it to be some sort of disaster.
And this wasn't.
No, it absolutely wasn't. It wasn't. Apart from one or two matches were really great. Apart from that, it was pretty much a 3 stars, solid the whole way through.
Yeah, like okay, B+ is a bit excessive. I will give you that. Like a solid C plus B is like.
I'd give it a C plus.
Like, here's the thing. It's the first Hell in a Cell match that actually felt like it was a Hell in a Cell match and needed to be one.
Yeah.
In years.
It was so good
to see
the Cell not on that goddamn Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I still don't like the fact that it's red, but, you know, we're staying positive.
Exactly. Yeah, no, the old, even the one they brought in 2006, you know, for the Big Show DX match, that's when it started. That's when the wheels fell off that match completely.
But
look,
now, Seth was coming into this with a lot of pressure on him because the last time he got in a cell, he killed the gimmick. He killed the gimmick. And
a career.
That was the last straw for me with WWE. After that pay-per-view, I just quit altogether with WWE, and so a lot of pressure on Rollins coming into this one.
Right, well, let's start there. The pre-show obviously had the Usos defeated the Hurt Business. And honestly, I think that was because the Usos were there anyway, and they're like, right, let's go out and get 2 paychecks. So that's why they won. But look, the Edge and Seth Rollins has been a great feud. It's been really good from what I've seen. Again, I can't really watch the show anymore. It's too bad. But from watching certain things he did, like, you know, Edge coming out with the Brood music, Edge doing the bloodbath stuff, the home invasion thing, which is, I don't like when you do the home invasion thing. I think it's really unnecessary. And if someone invades your home, you're not going to have a wrestling match with them. Even if it's a Hell in a Cell match, you're going to like call the guards or like, you know, go have a chat with them, if you know what I mean.
Tire iron and
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're not going to go, yes, we're going to have this wrestling match. It's like, but to be fair,
Marcus of Queensbury rules.
If you are going to have a wrestling match, a realistic Hell in a Cell match is the match to do. And that's actually kind of what happened here. So the story they were telling this was Edge's big redemption thing. He was going out there to prove that he could still do it. That Seth Rollins isn't just, the new Edge or anything like that. And there were some really good spots. I really liked the weapon play here where he would break off part of the chair and then like smash him in the face with it or try to choke him with it. I'm like, man, that's pretty good. As far as like, I've never really seen that before. Well, I have seen it before. Nick Gage is. I'm watching some deathmatch stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's like criminal in certain parts of the world. But yeah, I mean, in WWE, it's very rare that you see this kind of stuff, and it reminded me why a Hell in a Cell match is why it's so lame when they do it as like a pay-per-view thing, and it's not like something because you probably remember this as well, Martin. When Hell in a Cell match was announced, everyone was like, "Oh, whoa, this is a serious thing." Like, you just pull it out, and then like Mick Foley and Triple H, when Mick Foley said Hell in a Cell, Triple H was like, "Oh, whoa, this is terrifying." It was a serious thing,
and maybe you hadn't seen a Cell match in 2 years.
2 years, exactly, yeah. And this is what this actually felt like. Now it's wild that they had to go halfway around the world to book competently, and that's why again I think your man was booking this, because he's like, here, this makes more sense. And using logic and letting the story dictate gimmicks always worked, and this is exactly case in point here. This was great. Edge looked brilliant. Seth Rollins looked fantastic. The match itself was really good, really solid. Highlight of the night. Kind of weird to open with that, but again, the crowd were super into it and super appreciative and saw some really cool stuff. This was a WrestleMania quality match, dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought the Cell was a bit superfluous in that this could have been a really good, just kind of hardcore match. The Cell didn't really come into play a lot. It was more there for the aura or the atmosphere. But it was a great match. Like, I loved some of the spots. I liked the chain around the foot, for the super kick.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being biased, and you can tell me. Maybe this has been going on in WWE a while, but throughout this whole pay-per-view, I got the impression that a lot of these guys have been watching AEW.
Well, probably
picking up wee things here and there that they were doing, but it was improving the product. And yeah, like I genuinely enjoyed this. It was a good start, and here we are, Crown Jewel, and no disaster so far.
Yeah, and that's it. And it was it's a really interesting way to start the show. Again, like, the WWE slickness is there. But if lessons can be learned here from WWE, and obviously they won't be, but book stipulation based on storyline. Don't try to force a storyline into a stipulation, because it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
This doesn't work.
I think as well, part of the reason that they didn't maybe, go outside or on top of the Cell or anything like that is because if you start a show like that,
yeah,
like, where do you go from there?
Well, exactly, yeah. And they did go around with other matches, like the Goldberg Bobby Lashley match was actually quite good for that. But look, it is what it is. Again, like, I would have had this closer to the end, but they really kind of set the place on fire here with this early, so it was good placement. The next match, Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, this was garbage tier, and then had some rando come out and do a really poor kick. I
mean, this is the Saudi Arabia match. You have to have Mansoor come out. Mansoor has to win. It's the hometown thing, Yeah,
but Mustafa Ali is Saudi Arabian too, is he not?
I don't know what his heritage is, but I know he's not like directly from there. Like, Mansoor, I think is literally from Riyadh.
Oh wait, oh no, yeah, he is. He's from from Chicago. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you had your man come out and do, that makes sense. Yeah. No,
So-
I thought they were setting up kind of like, this is the Saudi Arabia match with the two lads,
Saudi
for the
showdown.
crowd, the Saudi showdown kind of thing.
No.
And commentary did lead me to believe that Mustafa Ali, his family was there too with Mansour's, which is like, okay, well, I guess they lied.
I mean, yeah, or maybe part of it was that. I mean, didn't they used to be a tag team? And
They did used to be a tag team, yeah.
it's like I said, this is the first WWE I've watched since SummerSlam, so I haven't been following the weekly show. I don't know, every step of every storyline, but I mean, this match was fine. I thought there was some really good spots in it, particularly from Mansoor. I really liked his finisher, that over the top neckbreaker thing. He could do with toning down the pantomime stuff a wee bit. He was very, these huge gestures. Like at one stage, he knocked Ali down, and he was going to climb the turnbuckle, and he looked down at Ali, and then he would like big eyes and swoop up and look up at the turnbuckle and back down and back up and back down and back up. I could see that he was very much getting the staring at your hands in disbelief NXT school of wrestling. But I mean, overall, it was fairly inoffensive.
Yeah, no, it was all right. Like, but I don't know. The ending of it was kind of weird because like your man shows up. Apparently, he got disqualified for doing an illegal kick.
Oh, from the
Olympics. Yeah. So that makes
see,
sense. That makes sense why you were building it up on commentary. But it's like, all right, it was an okay head kick.
So I couldn't even concentrate on that because Michael Cole came out with a classic Michael Cole and said, "Oh my God, that's whatever his name is, the Saudi Arabia karate player." And I was like, "Yeah."
He didn't say karate player, did he?
He's the karate player. That's what he is.
Oh my God. See, I was more focused on he's wearing a red belt, and I'm like, dude, I'm nearly a red belt. Like, this isn't that impressive. I was like, surely wear your black belt. And I don't know. I was like, hold on.
Even if you're not a black belt, gimmick it.
Yeah, gimmick it. Well, I know Eric Bischoff actually is a karate black belt. It's like he walked out in a black belt. He should like do that, man. The whole time I was focused, I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of kids who are like red belts in my dojo. Like, that's not that impressive. Like, the whole time I was just thinking that. So, oh no, I missed that line. That's gas. But
bunch of kids in your dojo all playing karate.
All playing karate. Karate players.
Michael Cole, huh?
Oh man, I'm gonna go back and watch that, man, because that's the best line ever.
I can see Michael Cole there on mute, holding the mute button of his microphone, going,
saying?
"But Vince, it's a karate fighter. It's a fighter." And Vince is going, "Say player, damn it."
Oh man, I do feel sorry for him. Well, he earns his money, dude. He really does. He earns every penny he has.
Oh yeah, he earns it.
Getting shit with her.
Sleeps at night.
Yeah, on a pile of money next to many beautiful women. To quote Wayne Russell.
Wear earplugs.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Karate player, yes. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh man, well, I'm going back to watch that match because I totally missed that. So yeah, your man came out, kicked him in the head, and who did he kick? He kicked Ali in the head, and then Mansoor and your man had a good old time. Yeah. So there you go. Everyone went home happy.
The crowd was loving it.
The crowd loved it, and that was for them. So it is what it is. The match was garbage here, but that wasn't the point. It was to get the cheap pop, And look, it is what it is. Everyone's allowed to have a good time.
They'll do a big show in Ireland someday. And Roman Reigns will beat the babyface, and then Roy Keane will jump over the barrier and deck Roman Reigns, and we'll all go mad, So,
oh man, actually, well, they actually did that in WWE. They had Vinnie Jones. This is in the 90s. This is a very Attitude Era thing to do, actually. They had Vinnie Jones come out and attack Triple H or something like that. I can't remember what it was exactly in one of the shows.
I remember that. Yeah.
This is a very Attitude Era kind of thing. It just shows you, right? Why this show was so good is because it was very like anti-WWE in lots of ways. It was very against what they do like nowadays, where they wouldn't actually listen to the crowd. They were actively trying to They were active. I can't believe I'm going to say this. They were actively trying to please the crowd, and they did.
Well, yeah. I mean,
they weren't just.
They were worried if they didn't, they wouldn't get home.
Yes. You know what? Maybe do all the shows in Saudi Arabia.
or if you can't do them all in Saudi Arabia, you do them all under like some sort of intense pressure, some kind of Squid Game type thing, where if the decibel of the crowd drops below a certain point, the ring explodes.
Yeah, look, listen, I'm telling you, man, whoever was booking the show, it wasn't Vince. It wasn't the team. It was probably your man going, listen, no, you're not doing a screwy finish. You're actually going to like book this properly. And he goes, okay.
I'm saying, if I can't have Yokozuna, I'm going to have clean finishes.
Gonna have clean finish. If the Undertaker doesn't show up, we're going to have a good time anyway. Bring out Cratty Man, the kick or Cratty player to fight him. Or not to play. Wait, hold on. If you can't use the word fighter to play with him, that's worse. Oh God. Oh, the brain of Vince McMahon. Imagine working under that. Jesus. So the next match was RK Bro, who defeated AJ Styles and Almost. Dude, I haven't seen AJ Styles and Almost in months. And it's not because I don't watch the show. I don't think they've been on the show in months. And again, like, I don't know, man. Like, where was Almost for it? What was AJ doing?
I don't know. I mean, I think the thing about Almost is that, and again, I don't watch the product, so I can only speak from what I've seen from bits of pay-per-views and stuff. I think Almost is very impressive to look at, but horrendously green and has to be used really sparingly.
Well, I think that the team with AJ is great because he's basically like a big tall thing that he can jump off of. Yeah, that's his role. I think that's a pretty good role for him to be in, where he's like, all right, you're green as grass and can't do anything, but I can jump off you. And that's fine. Yeah. So
and AJ is one of those wrestlers who, he can get a good match with anyone, and you'd learn so much from him. You'd probably also learn a load about the flat earth, but if you could ignore that, you'd learn a lot about wrestling.
I don't know. The flat earth one is weird. The hollow earth one is more interesting because of like the bases and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that that's a bit more interesting than the flat earth because I'm like, you can see it. You fly around enough, AJ. Like, what do you think's happening? Like,
I just don't get the point of the flat earth conspiracy. So it's like someone sitting there, like, you'd be surprised how many wrestlers are genuinely into this flat earth thing, and it gets to a stage where you stop arguing with them, where you stop talking about, the horizon and the curvature and all that, and you just go, okay, fine, right? Look, it's a flat earth, right? It's a flat earth, and the government is lying. The government is telling us it's a round earth, right?
Right.
Why? Yeah. What is the goddamn benefit of this conspiracy theory?
There's
the thing. No benefit to it.
You see, that's the thing. That's why the Hollow Earth one is a bit more. I know From the Dark is a conspiracy show that me and Dave do, but like the Hollow Earth one makes a bit more sense because it's like, okay, they can put stuff in there, and that's where you have dinosaurs or whatever, right? That's fun to think about and actually has some sort of benefit. The Flat Earth one, I'm like, again, like you, why? Just makes no sense. So maybe if we ever get to talk to AJ, we can be like, hey man, so like, tell us why. And that would be cool. I would like that. AJ, if you ever want to come on the show, like, we'll talk about the flat earth for like 3 hours. I think that'd be fun.
And you can also explain to us why you have such questionable views about gay people, but also come out with a big jizzy AJ t-shirt.
Well, was that in TNA?
I don't know where it was, but I've seen it, and there's no mistaking what that bloody t-shirt was.
Oh man, I think that was in TNA. Like his TNA merch was horrendous.
It was horrendous. One of the worst I've ever seen.
Oh, it's horrendous. It was like a mixture of, and I remember that time period very specifically. It was when, like, the Affliction shirts were everywhere. So his merch was like a mixture between Affliction t-shirts and then, as you said, like, just I don't know.
Human effluence.
Now the worst thing with AJ in TNA, well, there's actually near the end. That's the whole thing. We'll get there eventually, but it was when he changed his music from like his awesome original music to like this weird rap. They did it to Kurt Angle as well. It's like, why? That was cool. But anyway, and then there's Claire Lynch, which is a whole other thing. That was I think I want to, like, when we do finally get to the bad of WCW and TNA, we're gonna have to bring back the Katie.
Oh,
Vick,
yeah.
we're gonna have to bring back the Katie Vick scale, which long-time listeners will remember that we haven't used that in a while. The reason why we haven't used it is because we're watching good stuff, but when the bad stuff happens, the Katie Vick scale is coming back.
I don't even know what this is, but I
So
already kind of half understand it.
So obviously the Katie Vick angle, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
fully aware.
So the Katie Vick angle would be a solid like 2 on the Katie Vick scale, right? The Claire Lynch is about a 5, and it kind of goes up there. So we'll don't worry, you'll learn when we go to WCW.
You gonna learn today.
Exactly. Everyone's gonna learn the Katie Vick scale, but because I've gotten some questions about it, and it's like, nah, man, we haven't needed it for a while. But anyway, so I enjoyed this match for what it was. Orton is great. He's great when he has someone to work with. He is, man. Come on, he is when he has someone to work with.
I can't.
Why?
Tedious. I just can't. There was a brief period of this match. It was about a 2-minute period where it was AJ and Riddle in there, and I was like, "There's a match I want to see." AJ Styles versus Riddle. None of this waffle around them. Let these two guys really go at it. Hell of a match. Orton, I can't have. Almost.
I don't understand that, man.
He's just the most boring. He's the most boring, nothing wrestler. I don't know what it is.
He's way too into his gimmick, and he wrestles his gimmick. But the thing about it is, with Orton, it's like it's very boring and monotonous at the best of times, but in a kind of cool way. But he always works up. So
he's way too into his gimmick.
Yeah,
but his gimmick is dull as dishwater. He's way too into something that bores me to tears.
I have to say, when you see Orton live, he's a very weird looking man. I mean, like, he's very long and takes up like most of the ring. But when you see the RKO in person, you're like, that's actually like deadly.
This facial hair he has going on as well makes him look like a magician. I don't know.
Does make him look like a magician. Yeah. It's a bit weird. I'm like, okay, man, I respect it, but
I keep expecting him to pull a rabbit out of Riddle.
well, Riddle came out on a camel.
Yeah,
which was,
I gotta give them top points for that.
Man,
that was great.
Well, when the show started off, and I'm like, is that camel? It's like rakes of camels. I'm like, all right. And then when he came out on one, I'm like, well, you know what? That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. All right. So
there's just a couple other notable things with this match. You can tell how green Omos is because once he's stopped doing the big, I'm huge and you jump into me and you fall down and I throw you thing.
Yeah.
He did one actual wrestling move and it was the claw.
Yeah.
Where they just grabbed the shoulder. And,
oh man, it was like he wrestled exactly like the Giant Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think that is a guaranteed sign of someone who cannot wrestle.
No, cannot move. He cannot move. So
the other thing that I thought was notable about this match was that they were talking about Orton's endless, relentless, tedious title reigns, and how I'm only doing it to wind you up now, and how he is like has the record for like the 4th most title reigns or something like that.
Yeah, it's something that's up there. Yeah.
And they were talking about the people who have more title reigns than that, only eclipsed by Triple H and Ric Flair. I was really surprised to hear them actually name drop Flair.
Oh, well, you have to. It's Ric Flair, It's
no, you could just say he is the 4th most title reigns.
Yeah. Well, like Ric Flair hasn't Chris Benoit on himself yet.
No. But it's just like last month they were like editing him out of intro videos and taking his woo out of Charlotte's music and.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between showing them and mentioning them. It's like the way, when you were younger, you'd hear Harley Race or whatever, and you're like, okay, that's who's Harley Race, and then you find out. So it's just one of those names, I think it was just, it is what it is. However, what they could do is they could just like give him more title reigns, and then eventually you get rid of the Ric Flair completely. Which is what they should do. They should give Triple H like 6 more title reigns, and then there you go.
Do you know what? I don't watch this show anymore, so yeah, do it. Bring Hogan back. Give him 10 more title reigns.
No, God no. But yeah, so your Raw tag team champions. I can't believe you have two sets of tag team champions as well. So silly.
And like two sets of tag team champions and like
Four tag teams.
Not an actual tag team between them. Like,
yeah, it's.
Were
Man, so
the
dumb.
SmackDown tags were on the pre-show, were they?
They weren't defended at all.
Oh, so they weren't even defended. Okay.
No, like it's completely pointless. Like,
and obviously it would be silly to ask if the women's tag titles made a
did
show.
you have a?
No.
Are there women tag belts?
I
don't know.
I remember Sasha unveiling them a couple of years ago.
Yes. I recall this. Yes. Oh man, what a horrible waste. As somebody who loves belts, so unnecessary. having oh my god, they exist.
The thing is, they could have an absolutely fire men's and women's tag team division if they just have one set of tag belts.
Okay.
And let them go to Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
Okay, correction. So, according to Wikipedia, the women's tag team championship and the 24/7 championship can actually be defended on can also be defended on Raw and SmackDown. So,
okay,
that's not so bad.
I think they should take the men's tag titles
and do the
merge
same thing.
them, and have a tag team that's able to go, and not just because doesn't WWE have like loads of contracts with like a Pro Evo or what is it called? Yeah, Pro Evo Wrestling, and let them go all over the place. Evolve, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what they should
do. Pro Evo is a soccer game from 20 years ago.
That's what they should do. There's no reason for, particularly since it's such a small pool. Like, I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I get why they're there, but it should just be one. It's silly. But anyway, look. The show wasn't bad. It kind of just hit that kind of peak and then would like maintain the peak into the next match. It was interesting because I'm not a big fan of Zelina Vega or Doudrop. Obviously Doudrop was there to take the pin, but it was okay. I
was surprised. I thought they were going for like a baby face because she strikes me as her character's kind of bubbly and would make a load out of like this baby face Queen stuff, but I don't know, maybe they didn't want to face King and a face Queen. I don't know.
I think the story of this was what happened afterwards rather than the actual match itself. The match itself, like I looked away for like a minute and the match was over, so I don't know how the match ended.
There's nothing. Apparently, the whole Queen of the Ring or Queen's Crown, whatever they call it, that whole women's tournament, the entire tournament, the matches come up to something like 12 minutes. Like they were all like 1, 2, 3 minute, real quick short matches.
Oh man, says it all. Really says it all. But yeah, congratulations to Zelina Vega, who is the first ever Queen's Crown champion, which is cool. Yeah. I liked the kind of set. I thought the set was cool. The cape and all that stuff, that was fun. Like, it was nice that they actually had like a different one,
But here's what I couldn't understand. So they're getting 50 million or 5 million or whatever it is they get from these shows. They've got enough fireworks going off to invade a country, and then they win the Queen of the Ring, and it's a dud plastic chair and a daft fake looking scepter, a bloody hood or a cloak that not only that nobody can put on, but they didn't even have someone. They didn't even have someone there, like just have two people there dressed as servants to like put the robe around them or something. It was the most unroyal coronation I'd ever seen. So they'd won this prestigious tournament, and then they walk up to this big plastic chair and they sit in it and they put their own crown on, and I don't know, it just I thought there was a huge missed opportunity there for some real pomp, ceremony, make it look like something.
Well, maybe my theory on that is that they just had to cut down on travel expenses, so they had to like ship it in.
Yeah, I mean, where would you get like any kind of royal stuff in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia?
Well, that's it too. Maybe they're like, you can't have our stuff; you have to bring your own. that's
maybe
the only thing I could think of. Nothing else.
maybe they didn't want a replay of the first King of the Ring. Oh, well, not the first one, but the 1993 one, the first one on pay-per-view, where they had like a big proper throne there for Brett when he won, and bloody Jerry Lawler almost ended Brett's career when he threw it on him, and it nearly like bust a segment of his spine.
Yeah, you see, that's it too. Like you can't have anything like that there because it has to be gimmicked. So I understand. I like the cloak thing was true. That thing just did not stay on. They should have had like a way to actually like keep that on. But look, it is what it is. The next match,
I just thought it should have been.
I agree with you.
There should have been more circumstance to it, and I think by not doing that, they've already killed it.
Well, this actually, this is a kind of thing where they could have just pre-taped it, like on a soundstage. To go back and then they're up on the screen. But again, look, it is what it is. Hopefully they learn from this. It is the first time around. But the King of the Ring was the same. It wasn't even any better. It just looked a little bit different. But look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Goldberg defeated Mr. Golf in a no holds barred false count anywhere match. Look, listen. This match was pretty good.
It was.
Honestly. I think it's the best Goldberg match that he's had since being back. And the whole time he picked up Bobby Lashley, I'm like, oh, here he goes. He's going to drop him. No, wait. No, he's actually...
He got him. And Bobby Lashley's no small...
No, Bobby Lashley's a big dude. And, fair play...
I think you got to give... Not just Goldberg. I think you got to give everyone a wee bit of leeway. Because I've given every match tonight, or every match on this show, a wee bit of leeway. Because from what I've heard, it was... Even at nighttime, it was 30, 32 degrees out there.
Yeah, it's not
cold. It was
cold.
insane heat. And I was watching it, and everyone was a wee bit sluggish.
Yeah.
Missing kind of half a step the whole time. But I mean, you can't really use that against people when you're fighting in a furnace, So
but
I
also,
thought particularly
it
was good for I thought it was particularly good for Goldberg to be able to go out in those circumstances and actually put on a half decent match.
Absolutely, and that's a very, very good point as well, that I suppose we can't actually, it was wrong to overlook, and we should have actually probably said it sooner. It's true, like it's not an easy place to work because of how warm it is, and also the flight over is not a short flight. The flight back is not a short flight, and then they're also working in between it as well. Like I haven't been to Saudi Arabia, but I have been to China, and that flight, man, that's a long ass flight. It's super long. So I can only imagine what it's like going to Saudi Arabia. So it is what it is, and they put on a great job. They put on a really, really good match. Once you didn't listen to how cringy the commentary was, but I really liked the ending. I thought the ending was really creative. It was cool. It was cool to see the run out of what was it? Pain Society.
Hurt Locker.
The Hurt Locker, yeah, Hurt Business. That was cool to kind of have them involved. And then Lashley just like Goldberg smashing Lashley through the tables. I was like, that's a great spot. And he actually looked like a monster doing it too. So,
well, the good thing about it was it felt definitive. It felt like this is the end of it, right? We're not going to get. Hopefully now that's not to say that Goldberg won't show up on Monday, but it felt like the end of it. There was a couple of, like I say, fair play to the lads, two big guys and pretty tough circumstances, and they pulled out a half decent match. There was some hilarious botches through this that were not their fault.
No,
it was all production stuff.
Yeah.
So at one stage, Bobby Lashley goes down to get a table from underneath the ring. And there's a guy under the ring who's handing him the table. But whatever way he pushes it forward, he pushes it and it goes in under the mat outside outside the ring. So Lashley has to give up and go get a chair. Oh, that was hilarious. There was the bit where Goldberg spears Lashley through the barricade. The camera cuts a wide angle, and just before that, one of the guys who's behind the barricade, like one of the timekeepers or whatever, he gets up to move, and he kind of balances his hand on the barricade when he moves, and the barricade wobbles a good foot in each direction. Have you ever seen Garth Marenghi's Dark Place?
I haven't.
It's brilliant, ridiculous comedy show, but there's a scene in it set in a graveyard. And it's obviously like a real cheap graveyard set, and they've used cardboard for the headstones because the headstones are like flapping back and forth in the breeze, and that's what it reminded me of.
That's incredible. I love it. It's like a proper Plan 9 from outer space thing.
Yeah, and then
That's gas.
the spot at the end was fantastic. It was really cool. I just, again, like the King of the Ring, I don't see how they have so much money and they can't come up with something to disguise the crash
Tables.
mat.
Yeah, the tables and crash mats. But look,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you can dress up as much as you want, but still wrestling. And wrestling still is kind of hokey. And, you know,
it's just when there's, like, I get that. It's just, I don't understand why they don't fix simple things. Like when
you could fix it in post, but you couldn't fix this live. Like it was live, you know.
I know, but I mean like when Chris Jericho, when he got thrown off the blood and guts cage and landed on the thing. Now that looked fine if they had painted the other side of those bloody mats.
Yeah.
But they only painted one side of them, so when they bent up, you could see what they were. And I'm like, that's a real simple thing that somebody could have done.
But
like
how
this,
much?
This was a real simple thing to cover up the crash mat. But
how much control do you think the rest? Like again, like with that kind of stuff, like and this is like, it is kind of the justification for editing, right? Stuff because you can actually kind of grab that, but. Even in stuff that would be pre-recorded, for example, like Game of Thrones, where there was a random Starburst cup just there. There's so much job for continuity, right? And you know, at the best of times, in those controlled circumstances, you still get those mess ups. So on the live show where people are literally risking their lives, you're like, look, you cut them out.
Oh yeah, it's no criticism of the wrestlers.
I totally agree with you.
Absolutely no criticism of the wrestlers.
It just like it is what it is, you know.
And it's not even real criticism. I just thought it was kind of funny, you know. I thought the thing wobbling was kind of funny. I thought your man handing him out the table, I thought that was hilarious, you know. But
what was it? There was actually, because I didn't even realize this as well. But it does kind of go to maybe the quality getting better. I mean, like literally the actual audio visual quality of wrestling improving, which is why we're seeing it in the King of the Ring match in 2000. Sorry, the Shane McMahon Kurt Angle match, right? Which is, we haven't got to it yet. Oh my god, folks! When we talk about that pay-per-view, we are in for a great day. But oh man, I haven't watched that match in a while. But there's a bit where they're on top of this little table, this little bit of plywood, and it's about to break. And the ref is holding it. And you don't really notice the referee's holding it because of where the camera is.
Yeah.
But if they were shooting it now, the way they shoot it now, you'd absolutely see his hand on that. And it's just kind of, you know, it's the trade-off between like super high definition, instant quality multi-camera angles, and then like some lad with a massive camera on his back, like trying to run catch, you know. It's
and you're watching it on VHS.
Exactly, yeah, or a small little portable TV at like 2 a.m. So
I get what you're saying about the angles though, because that actually kind of came up in this match as well. So Bobby Lashley was down on the stairs and Goldberg had the other set of stairs, and he was like gonna throw them on Lashley, but whatever way they had the camera angle, it was clear that Lashley had moved out of the way a half an hour ago before Goldberg actually threw the stairs down. But like you say, it's the trade-off for having, you know, the 8 camera guys around the ring and them all being, you know, at every angle.
It's ruining that suspension of disbelief, which, to be fair, I remember my uncle saying to me when I was a young fella, going, hey, you know, it's not so bad when you're in the audience, but when you watch it on TV, it's pretty terrible. And that was 20 years ago. So it's a bit worse now when you have the 8 cameras, and it's like, you kind of have to, you know, you're going to have to just go with that suspension of disbelief. But anyway, fair play to Goldberg. Come back, all's forgiven. Well, not all's forgiven. You nearly killed the Undertaker, but you know,
don't come back.
Oh, and Bret Hart.
go out in the hay. Oh, don't even.
Oh, I won't. Sorry.
Because this whole thing being King of the Ring. Yeah, I actually went back and I watched the '93 King of the Ring, and it is still to this day, goddamn masterpiece. Bret Hart puts on 3 clinics with Razor Ramon, Mr. Perfect, and Bam Bam Bigelow. And,
man.
And it was unfair to watch that and then try and grade the show.
Yeah, but that's
fairly.
it. When you're watching it there, you're trying to figure out, like, you have to watch it in its own time. So look, fair play to Goldberg. If this is his last match, it's definitely one to go out on. Xavier Woods defeated Finn Balor in a decent match. It was okay. Like, there was nothing really. It was serviceable. It should have probably been better. It wasn't a Raw match. It wasn't a Dynamite match, but it was a opening pay-per-view match. I think this probably would have been a very good opener.
That's a really fair summation. Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
So your new King of the Ring is Xavier Woods. So fair play.
Yes, and again the same dud coronation.
Yeah,
huge. I just don't understand it. Like, why wasn't there like boom and confetti? And I mean, I've gone over all this before, but I just think it was a huge missed opportunity.
Maybe they're probably going to do them on Raw or SmackDown.
Maybe there'll be. Yeah, you're right. Maybe there'll be like coronations or something.
Because this goes out on Tuesday, we tape on a Friday night just before SmackDown and Dynamite and Rampage. So we don't know yet, but that's probably what they do. I'd say, or else, as you said, they just killed the gimmick. So we'll find out.
They really did, because it was. It looked worse than the one in the 90s, and the one in the 90s even looked bad for the 90s.
Big E defeated Drew McIntyre in like that. Look. The match was very good. It had some really good moments, some really good misfalls. I think Drew McIntyre really was class. Big E's not a top guy, in my opinion. I just don't buy him. I just genuinely do not buy him as a top guy. I think he's a joke. And that's fine.
What do you mean in terms of his character?
As far as like a physical guy, like, man, he has it all. He has the look. His moveset's really deep. But giving him the belt when he's in the New Day, and then also, like, again, I'm watching the Escape from the Undertaker thing, right? And he's a total joke, and I'm like, you're the world champion, man. Like, come on.
The same way I shouldn't have watched King of the Ring first. You shouldn't have watched that Undertaker thing. I think it has skewed both of our views.
Exactly. Yeah. So the whole time, and when you watch it, you're like, oh man, we will be covering that next week. That's part of our Halloween special. And I just think it's like, they needed to like do some like serious like rehab on him as far as like build him as a serious threat. And I'm sure he is, but like with Drew, I'm like, they've built up Drew to be a killer. And here's the thing. Drew, when he left WWE, he was in 3MB or a 3-man band. He was a total joke. Went off to Impact, rebuilt his character, came back and was just an absolute killer, right? Big E is still the booty-o unicorn dancing, don't be sour. And look, that's great. And the New Day as a heel gimmick were great. Even as a face, they were grand, But like, I
don't mind that. I think there's.
I just don't buy him as a work.
I mean, people say stuff like that about like the likes of Orange Cassidy and.
Yeah, but Orange Cassidy isn't the world champion.
I think he could be. I think he could at very least be TNT champion.
But that's okay, because Cody was already that, so it's fine. That has no value.
Come on, we've been doing so well the past couple of weeks. You've been admitting bit by bit that you really respect Cody.
Let's not go mad. He still has a lot to make up for now. But oh man, like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know. I just think a gimmick change would be good. And I think they did change his music anyway. Which is good. It's just some sort of darkening up his gimmick. Now, I'm not saying you go off and be all moody and broody, but just a bit more like, they tried to do this a bit, where after the match they're like, oh, I'm the champion, we have a lot more to go. And the way he was talking, as you said, they were telling, not showing. Like, you actually said this. He was cutting little promo in the ring to the camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, look, I don't buy him as champion, but it's not a big deal. Like, it's not a huge thing just yet. They just need to change one or two things, and then he's actually fine. But
well, don't tell WWE that you want him to have a darker gimmick, because they'll go off and get him a bloody talking doll.
I wouldn't mind that actually. I didn't hate the Fiend. I thought the Fiend was great.
Oh, come on, Lily and the winking doll and all that.
I don't know. I like the goofy wrestling sometimes. It's fine. But
You don't like
just
Cody Rhodes. You liked Lily. I don't see any common ground upon which we can sustain this franchise.
no. It's I think at a certain point it's like it's okay in its spot. Like Lily and that whole stuff should never have been involved with a women's championship match, right? For one, in its own kind of thing, doing its own spooky, weird stuff, fine, right? I just think when you start being, it's the John Cena problem. When Cena would run out looking like a bag of Skittles or Smarties, you're like, come on, like you're the world champion. You gotta have that kind of. It's like Roman Reigns, right? Roman Reigns was always awesome and always had the ability to be awesome, but nobody bought him because he was neutered basically after the Shield, and then when he turned and just became this basic beast. So there you go. Like, and I think Big E has that. What he has because he was he was really good in Florida Championship Wrestling, and he's a really good wrestler in general. But just this character is doing more damage than good now as a world champion. So they need to decide really: do they want the New Day to be the New Day and retain their markability as the New Day? And this is the question. Maybe you guys can chime in on either leave the comments or not. Because I remember when I badmouthed Kofi, someone got upset and left comments. I'm like, I didn't badmouth him. He's just not a good world champion. It was proven. But anyway, I think Big E is the best of the whole bunch as far as like being a world champion. They just
have they been split up now?
They have.
Not that the group's falling apart. I mean,
no, they've moved.
Some of them on Raw and some of them on SmackDown.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to do, right? So they are
split them without actually.
Yeah, because like
having them fall out. Yeah,
they want. I think they're going to kind of do like a Bullet Club kind of thing where they're still part of the group, but they can come and go, which is a good way to have your cake and eat it too. But with Big E, they have to give him a bit more. You know what it's like. You know what DX, right? And just go me here. So when DX broke up as such, it didn't, and Triple H went off. So if they do the Triple H thing with Big E, where it gives him that bit of an edge, where you can still have the fun-loving side of it, which DX certainly did. If the plan here is for Big E to be the Triple H of the New Day's DX, they can totally do that, right? But putting the belt on him was a bit too early, because if you think about it, Triple H had already established this darker side to him, this bit more of an aggressive edge before DX came back. So they've kind of set this up where they've created an issue that shouldn't have been one. What they should have done is hold off on the cash in, have the New Day move, right? And have Big E kind of been like, look, I don't have my buddies here anymore. I'm going to go off and bait everybody, and I
think that was the original plan.
Then should have done it.
And then I think that was the original plan. And then Dynamite started outdoing Raw in the demos.
Yeah.
And they panicked and they had Big E tweet out, "I'm going to cash in tonight," to kind of pop a rating. I think it was the first time they'd lost and they didn't want to lose out 2 shows in a row.
Yeah.
It was something like that.
Makes sense.
And they had Big E tweet that he was going to cash in and blah, blah, blah.
And you know what? Like, that's probably exactly what happened. And I think the only person that suffered there was Big E. Like, obviously winning the championship, you're not going to turn that down. But he now has this uphill battle with him, where he still has the New Day stink on him, and he's not serious yet. But this match was very good. I think having more of these matches will do wonders for him. But when I see Big E versus Drew McIntyre, I only see 1 star there. As far as like Drew McIntyre's the star, Big E is the joke. But here's the thing: we could be sitting here now, and at Royal Rumble, which is only like 3 months away, Big E could be like the biggest star in the company. So again, we're not being negative here. This is just the presentation, and that's all it is.
I thought this match was okay. I thought it was fine for just a standard match. I thought for a world title match, it was a bit lacking.
Well, you only had 1 star there.
Yeah, well. I mean, I think Big E's okay. Maybe I don't feel as strongly about it as you, but I thought the match itself, the quality of the match for what was supposed to be a world title match, was a wee bit
Right.
lacking. Was by no means a bad match.
No, it wasn't.
The only thing
It
it
felt like
made
a
me
Raw
think
match.
of was,
Felt like a Raw
yeah,
match. Yeah.
maybe a Raw main event.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. A Raw main event. Yeah.
But the only thing it made me think of is, do you remember the Robin Hood movies? And Robin Hood has the friend called Little John, but it's a
Yeah.
joke because Little
Yeah.
John is actually
It's
huge.
huge. Yeah.
I think Big E stands for big ears, but it's a joke because the whole way through this match, all I could look at was the side of his head, and he has tiny, tiny, little, tiny, itty bitty ears.
Oh man, and this is the thing. They need to do a repackage on him. He needs to like do something. Wear a mask or be the Fiend or get a leather jacket or hit people with
Or
sledgehammers.
his gimmick is his ears are so small he can't hear you. So you cut like a bloody scathing promo on him, and he just goes, "Huh? Sorry."
Oh man,
Come
I
again?
don't know. I feel bad for Big E because like I think this is going to be remember when CM Punk cashed in the first time and
Yeah.
he beat Edge, I think, and he won the belt and it was just a joke. Nobody even cared. I think that's the danger of this cash in thing, where if you don't do it properly or if it's done too early or if it can fail like it has to cash in general, or when you do cash in, you're kind of a lame duck champion. And I think that's the sad reality of this if they don't kind of fix this soon.
It's also the problem of having these gimmicks that become pay-per-views.
Yeah,
Like
that's it. Yeah,
the Money in the Bank should be something that arises out of a dispute. 3 or 4 guys have equal claim to being the number one contender, or something like that. But just having a Money in the Bank every year, a Hell in a Cell every year, it just Extreme Rules every year. It takes the what the aura of these matches, what makes them special, and it just I mean, the Hell in a Cell doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like
No.
you were saying,
Well-
then, it
well, on the
used to be
show-
terrifying.
yeah. Well,
It
look,
doesn't mean anything anymore.
I agree. There's certain matches that you can do, certain road points, kind of like the Royal Rumble, where it's like, okay, we know what's going to be on this. The Survivor
Oh
Series.
yeah,
got
I mean, the Rumble's an institution.
Well, here's the thing, though. You can turn certain things into an institution without the match type being an institution. For example, I think War Games should be an institution that WWE do every year on the main roster, where
Yep.
everyone knows War Games is coming up in like September or something. War Games is coming, and you can have other matches like King of the Ring should always be one of those things as well. It's like
I think Survivor Series should be dropped, and King of the
I agree.
Ring, get rid of the goddamn cloaks and all the gimmicky stuff. King of the Ring should be made into a real, serious, prestigious G1 type tournament.
And you can do that on Survivor Series, the same with Deadly Games. Just call it Survivor Series Deadly Games, and then there you go, or King of the Ring or whatever. Like, that's the thing, man. You and me are sitting here at 11 o'clock at night, coming up with better ideas than WWE. And it's just like it's because it's logical. It's like why the Hell in a Cell match was good, because it had realistic stakes. And I think if you knew, right, we have War Games coming up here, well, you're going to have the story of building your teams and who can you trust and who can you go into. And then you can build around that rather than, oh, Jesus, we need to find someone to give the Money in the Bank to because Money in the Bank is coming up. And, we have to give the belt to someone. And,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, but we're going to see, well, we're not going to see it. I'm certainly not going to see it because I don't watch it. But it's what WWE fans are going to see for the next month. People suddenly caring about the color of T-shirt they wear,
Yeah, that's it.
Blue versus red. That suddenly
It means nothing. It's
these
arbitrary.
guys who are suddenly at each other's throats for the next month are going to be, it's all about the team, man.
My least favorite pay-per-view is Survivor Series. I think it's the worst. We probably will not be covering that on this show, folks, because it's terrible. Unless something good happens, but we don't know. Anyway, Becky Lynch defeated Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks in a triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, which, was actually a very interesting match. I liked having Bianca Belair in there as well with the Sasha Becky thing, but then also having like the three-way spots that were done. It was cool because you had Sasha and Bianca, and then you had Becky versus Bianca, and then Becky versus Sasha. It was such a cool dynamic, and obviously Becky working heel. Um, I think it was great. I really enjoyed this. This was a very good 20 minutes.
This was the match of the night for me.
Oh yeah, fair.
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought this
Fair.
was the best match of the night. I thought, again, this is one of those things where I thought they've been watching a lot of Dynamite because they did away with the usual WWE triple threat framework, where they kind of throw one person out, then they have a two-person match. And they throw
No,
one
they
person
were
out.
wrestling.
They were
wrestling
really
together.
going 3 for 3, some
Yeah.
awesome double and triple team moves. And to be honest, I did not expect it like this because as soon as Becky came out, and now she's big time Bex.
Big time Bex. Oh god,
I
yeah.
was
The
just
graphic
like,
was the worst thing in the world.
this
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah, no, that graphic,
but-
looked like it was something from 2004, and it was.
That's another thing I probably should have said at the start. I hate this thing they do where they have the computer graphic entrance thing, that isn't really there. Like the whole point of a live show is you're supposed to put on like a big performance, like theatrics and all for the live crowd. But again, that's neither here nor there. I just thought that Becky had such a great gimmick, such a great character, and this big time Bex thing just reeks of something that they're going to drop in 3 weeks.
I don't think so. I think it's here for a little while, but my God, it was it was rough. But and I don't know, she can't work as a heel because she's too likable. That's the problem.
Buddy, like she's healing it up the whole way, and the whole crowd's cheering her name.
Yeah, everybody loves her. It's like, just what are you doing? Like,
how did they not learn?
Yeah,
like from last time. This has all happened before.
It has, yeah.
It's like the Matrix. This has happened before and will happen again. Like,
and that's it. It will happen again. It's just like the woman is a natural face. Everybody loves her. Like, what are you doing? Like, it makes no sense. And then
they've messed up making people dislike her so much that her ring attire is the same ring attire as the most beloved man in all of wrestling, Eddie Kingston. Nobody's going to boo anyone. It doesn't matter how much of a heel they are. If they're even wearing anything that resembles Eddie Kingston, they're not going to get booed.
Well, that's it. And the crowd were like chanting her name the whole time. She won. Everyone went home happy. And WWE are still like, well, that's not what we expected.
To win, and nobody cared.
If they cheered her more.
Yeah. It's like the time they tried to turn her heel by having her bait the hell out of Charlotte with the belt, and the crowd was just going, more, bait her more.
Hit her more. Oh man, I love it. It's gas. But look, this was match of the night. If you haven't watched any match on this card, this is the one to watch. This is the one you have the most fun in. And it was followed up by a confusing mess of 13 minutes, which, hold on, I have to say one word. So on the pre-show, the little stupid thing they do, which I can't stand these pre-shows, they announced as a no disqualification match. And 20 minutes later, they said, oh no, actually, it's not no disqualification. The wrestlers the participants aren't up to it tonight. They want it to be a normal match.
Why do that?
I don't know. Nobody knows why that happened. He had a little graphic and everything. So what probably happened was they probably realized, oh, if we do that, we won't be able to do our finish. So there we go. And the finish was a screwy finish. Now, to be fair, it wasn't the worst screwy finish ever because it was kind of natural enough. But Roman Reigns.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the finish, Dara.
Yeah.
Like I've said repeatedly, I don't watch WWE. I see it very sparsely. If you want us to review a show or, maybe if there's a clip on YouTube or someone mentioned something in particular happened that's worth looking up. Okay, I do that, right?
That's fair.
But I am not a regular watcher of this show. And already I am sick to the back teeth of Reigns winning by the Usos running in and kicking someone. I don't watch WWE, and I've already seen that a million times. So just as soon as I saw the referee get knocked down, I just put my hands in my face, or my face in my hands, or whatever, and I just I knew exactly what was coming.
And it was like it wasn't the worst ref bump ever, but it was a horrifically bad ref bump.
No, it's not even that the ref bump itself was bad. It's just that as soon as it happened,
yeah,
I knew what was coming.
Yeah. And look, to be fair, I wasn't expecting any of these belts to change. While these shows are supposed to be WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and look, to be fair, on the scale, they are at that scale, but they're also kind of non-canon because nothing of consequence usually happens. But that's not true because The Fiend defeated Goldberg at it. And,
Goldberg defeated The Fiend. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, the other way around. And that was just kind of, okay, fair enough. So, I mean,
it was a pity because I kind of got, at the start of this, WCW vibes. We were talking about this last week. This genuinely had a big fight feel.
Yeah.
There were two physically huge guys, two huge personalities.
Yes.
You had the huge over dramatics of who is Heyman really with, which side is he on, blah blah. I mean, this could have been really good. It didn't even have to be like a technically great match. A lot of the best matches haven't actually been great matches. Hogan Warrior, Hogan Andre, all that kind of thing. They were just felt like huge events, and this could have been that. And then they just let the air out of the whole thing with that idiotic ending. I mean, if you're going to put Reigns over and they're going to, keep the title on Reigns till maybe not even WrestleMania, till WrestleMania next year, then put him goddamn over. I have seen him win so many matches. He's supposed to be this, incredible dominant heel. And like I say, I hardly watch the damn thing. And I think every match I've ever seen him win, he's won somehow screwy. He beat Kevin Owens. It was screwy. I've lost count to how many times I've seen the Usos come in and kick someone, screwy finish. Maybe it's because I never liked Roman Reigns. Maybe I'm biased. I don't know.
Well, look, it's, again, Roman Reigns is so much better as a heel. Always has been. This protection where he, he's skirting the line. I do think there was probably a better finish here at some point, because obviously they had a very different plan and it was changed literally as the show was going on. So it is very WCW in that sense. But look, it was what it was. Roman Reigns is still your WWE Universal Champion. I don't think this is definitively over. I think this is going to continue for quite some time. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to know with Brock and his working arrangements. He likes to show up for the big show and then not for the big show. But you know what I mean?
Well, look, here's the thing. He showed up. He got his private plane. He got paid more money than we'll ever see in our life. And
speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
That's fair.
I'll tell you what I do want to know is where did the second referee come from?
I don't know. Was he just hanging out there?
Yeah, the referee got knocked down because I wound this back to make sure that I wasn't just, hey.
No, it was hitting me too. Yeah.
I wound it back, and the camera pans around, right, and you can see he has him pinned, and you can see literally the whole length of that runway, and it's a long runway.
It's very long,
the whole length of it, and there's nobody there. And then the camera pans down to the two of them on the ground, and suddenly this referee jumps in out of nowhere and goes, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Where was he?
Yeah. No, I think they had booked themselves into a corner. They're like, right, we have to do some sort of screwy finish here. And then they had him probably just hanging out at the side of the stage or something, because he showed up so fast and out of nowhere. It was like, this is ridiculous. But look, it diminished what was actually a pretty fun show. Obviously, what we talked about at the beginning of the show, if you didn't watch it, we totally understand why. But all that aside, solid C plus.
C plus. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely worth your time if you want some decent WWE that is not offensive. I would put any money in the world that this was not booked by WWE, or definitely it had heavy input from someone else, because this didn't feel like a WWE show until the end.
Well, it's like you can tell the matches, or you can tell the shows that aren't booked by Vince, when he's off or not there. You can tell the shows that aren't directed by what do you call him? Kevin Dunn. Yeah, you can tell the shows that aren't directed by him, because you can watch them without throwing up all over your shoes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You can kind of tell who is and isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would suspect that neither of them were there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a safe bet. But Martin, I want to thank you so much again. We did go over. We did go over this week. So thank you all
we're over, man. We go over every week.
That's fair. Speaking of every week, next week we're going to have our special Halloween edition of the show, which I'm super excited about. I don't think we did one last year. So instead of covering what we normally cover, which would be WCW, we will get back to WCW the week after.
Oh, don't worry.
We are going to talk about this wonderful Netflix special of the Escape from the Undertaker, which is, holy cow, it's an experience, folks. I'm telling you. And also, we've cracked open a list of wrestling team or horror movies with wrestlers in them. So we're going to pick 2 or 3. I don't know what we'll throw them up on our social media later, and we're going to review those. So next week, get your spookiest costume on or whatever, and come hang out with us, because we're going to have a lot of fun on Halloween. Well, we're taping it on the Friday, so it's the Friday before Halloween. But for us, it's still good enough. And it's going to be awesome. But if you want to play along at home, you can watch the movies before. We will announce them on social media, and watch the Undertaker Netflix thing, which please do, because I've already watched it once, and oh my god,
I have.
Oh my god,
I'm not looking forward to it.
it's something else. I don't.
Let's get those. Let's get those movies we're going to watch nailed down kind of early, so so we have time to.
Yeah, so we're gonna pick. We're probably gonna pick them over the weekend. We'll put them up on our social media and on our Twitter and stuff like that as well, so you guys can watch them. And so that's gonna be it. Martin, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Absolutely do. I have been afflicted with just this ridiculous infection, cold. It's not a cold, but I don't think it's quite the flu. It's not COVID either. I got that tested. But basically, I've been coughing and spluttering and snottering all week, and I haven't been able to sleep. And this week, I would like to plug Lemsip and Jameson's. Now, I don't know if this is recommended by doctors, but I have found that if you chuck 2 packs of Lemsip in a mug and 2 shots of Jameson in on top of it, and a bit of hot water and a lemon, and get that down you could be missing a leg and you'll sleep through it.
There you go. That's we're not doctors, but it's still good to know.
We would like to stress that we are not doctors.
We are not doctors, but
not even like doctors of like arts or anything like that. We have not even a non-medical doctorate between us. Do not take our advice.
I did try, Martin. I got halfway, and then the government took the funding. So, but still, that's not good enough to give medical advice. So, use with your own caution. But
I'm just saying it worked for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But then again, I'm not exactly the epitome of health. Dara, do you have anything you'd like to plug that isn't potentially dangerous?
Yes, I actually do. So obviously, if you're listening to us on Phoenix 92.5 FM, thank you so much. If this is your first time listening to us, we're sorry. But if you like what you hear, go over to Nerd to Know Media. Check out the James Chu Penny channel as well. You can also throw us a couple of bucks via PayPal or whatever. And if you're into metal, you can check out my band Horrenda are doing a special live stream Halloween event, which will be over there. So if you are into that, check out Horrenda on the internet. You can find us Horrenda Official on YouTube, or Horrenda Ireland or whatever. You can find that stuff as well. And we will have something very cool coming out on Halloween. So do check that out.
Is that all you're plugging?
That's all I'm plugging.
That old desk board buddy money must have run out, did it?
Well, Deskboard Bud, yeah, they are what they are. So, okay, well, you mentioned it. Deskboard Buddy, I have to say I've really enjoyed using it, man. It's my main lately. Deskboardbuddy.com as well if you want to check that out. But you know, I use it, man. It's worth its weight in gold. Let's put it that way. It's worth all the harassment from social media that you get the minute you Google it. It's just the most aggressive social media marketing ever. But guys, if you do want to pick up those up, they're actually like pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. But my advice: don't use a browser that's connected to your social media because you'll get ads forever. But they are pretty cool. But again, gang, thank you so much for checking out the show. We appreciate it. Hashtag save Dave.
Hashtag enslave Dave.
Hopefully Dave will be back at some point. We don't know where he is. But yeah, we've been the Wrestling Rewind. We'll talk to you next week for a Halloween special. Bye, guys.
See you, lad.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.